Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Power Core Productions and Podcastings. And today we're going to be continuing Bleach Legacy, What If Superman Was in Bleach, Season 1, Part 4. As always, if you're new to the channel or if you're a regular and like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is Power Core Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. As we continue on in the story of Bleach Legacy, we follow the Kurosaki family that a long time ago adopted a new member into its ranks, a child that fell from the stars from a planet long since lost, a planet known as Krypton. Yes, rather than our favorite Big Blue Boy Scout landing in the United States and near a farm in the city of Metropolis, he instead lands in Kurakura Town in Japan and is raised by the Kurosaki family. And in sharing with this, he also faces the trials that come with the family, especially with his brother Ichigo, as the two by chance save a Shinigami, a Soul Reaper, and now the two fight to protect their town from the dangerous forces known as the Hollows. For more, stay tuned as we now continue today's video, and as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. For the Kurosaki family, today was an important day. It was one that they always kept marked on their calendars, but it wasn't a day that they looked forward to fondly. Today was the day that the Kurosaki family lost a very important member. For Ishin, he lost his wife, the mother of his children. And for the children themselves, they lost their mother. However, no two took it harder than Ichigo and Clark. For you see, the day that their mother died, they were there. And it wasn't just that they were there. There was a part of them, something that they kept buried inside, something that would even shock Rukia when she accompanied them and learned. You see, the truth is, when they first met, it was not the first time that they encountered a hollow. No, far from it. They had encountered one far before that. However, back then, they didn't know what it was. They didn't know what to call it. And even if they knew what to call it, they wouldn't have known of what to do in that moment. You see, Ichigo and Clark lost their mother to a hollow. For both boys, they had great resentment for that day, for the events that took place. It started with Ichigo falling into a river, being carried by the waves in the midst of a storm, his mother diving in to save him. In the process, the attack happened. For both boys that day, it stained their consciousness. For Ichigo, if he had been stronger, if he had done better for himself, if he hadn't been so stupid, none of this would have happened. But for Clark, he felt just as bad. You see, by this point in time, Clark was made aware about his origin, the explanation for why he wasn't ordinary like all of his other siblings, why his powers were, well, what they were. But even still, in that moment, when his mother needed him the most, he hesitated. He was scared. Of course, as time passed, the stronger he got, the more of a darkness and more of a regret would sink into him. He kept it buried. He didn't allow his emotions to come to the surface. No, he hid them behind his glasses and that warm smile. But deep down, he was seething with rage. And it didn't help the fact that he was now embracing his powers, truly seeing what he was capable of. As Ichigo walked beside Clark, he could see that to his brother, there was something bothering him. Hey, Clark, You alright? I'm fine, Ichigo. It's about today, isn't it? How can it not be? What happened back then, don't. I know what you're gonna say, and I appreciate it, I do, but I honestly don't want to hear that. But it's the truth. It wasn't your fault, Clark. Then why? Why do I feel this way? It's your guilt, Rukia would chime in. I know that. I had this power. I've always had this power. I tried to run from it. I tried to bury it. I tried to hide it because I didn't want any part of it. I just wanted to be normal. I wanted to be like everyone else. I already felt enough like an outsider. I mean, knowing that I came from another world that was lost. And yet even still, Ichigo's family, your family, Ichigo would say. Don't ever feel like it's not your family. You've been raised with me from the very beginning. That's never going to change. But I could have done something, Clark would say. I had the power. Maybe I could have fought it off. I could have saved you and Mom sooner. I froze. I panicked. I replay that day over and over again in my mind. Every time I dream that I'm gonna be saving her, that everything's gonna be all right. And yet when I wake up, when I wake up, she's not here anymore. It's all because of me. Because I wasn't strong enough. Because I was too afraid, too selfish. Because I was too... And before he finished that sentence, he found himself being clocked in the face. Despite not being human, for Clark, Ichigo was the one human on the planet who, even prior to becoming a Soul Reaper, who could actually challenge him somewhat. It was honestly the strangest of phenomena, especially when Rukia had learned of this encounter. The fact that Ichigo was seemingly someone capable of actually leaving some harm on Clark. As Clark landed on the ground, Ichigo would pick him up once more. Don't you ever go on about that, okay? It's not your fault. You might think that, but I'm just as much guilty as you are. I was told not to go too close to the river. They warned me. I didn't listen. You were sitting back with Karin and Uzu like you were supposed to. You were watching after them. Mom had to come after me. It's not your fault. And if you think that you have to shoulder all the blame by yourself, then you're wrong. It doesn't matter what happened back then. It doesn't change the fact that you're my brother. It doesn't change the fact that you're family. You hear me, damn it? You're Clark Kurosaki. You're one of us. Rukia was touched by this. To see the true bond of brothers. And that nothing could change that bond. For two boys that did not come from the same womb, that did not come from the same world. If you asked anyone, you could say that they stuck closer than even two real brothers. While Clark and Rukia and Ichigo were together in the forest, while Karin and Yuzu were still chasing down the hill for Ishin, who Ichigo had sent flying when he tried to attack him by chance, they soon sensed that there was another presence among them. From out of nowhere, a member from the Soul Society would emerge, another Soul Reaper. He looked towards Rukia with a sinister grin. What are you doing here? You know the answer to that. So, you've been causing a lot of trouble here in the human world, haven't you, Rukia? I only did what I had to. Save it. You can tell your excuses to the captain when we get back to Soul Society. And as for you two, he raised his sword to them. You'd be wise to stand out of the way. I'm not here after you, but if you get involved, I'll have to cut you down. As he made his move towards Rukia, the Soul Reaper would be surprised as both Clark and Ichigo would send them flying back respectively. So, that's how it's gonna be, huh? Sorry. Ichigo would now leave his body. Using the soul candy, he would put Kon, who he had taken from out of the stuffed teddy bear lion, into his body so that he could use it. Kon, stay back and watch Rukia. Clark, you cover my flank. Understood. What's the meaning of this? A human? A Kryptonian? Thought that you were all gone. Yeah, well, there probably are. I think I'm the last one. Pity. You ready for your people to become extinct? Because that's what's gonna happen if you keep messing with me, boy. And why are you after Rukia? What did she do wrong? Ichigo would ask. For starters, let's say by going against her mission. And also, because she violated Soul Society law by giving you her powers. She only did it to save my family. There wasn't any other option. What was she supposed to do, just die? Yes. In the line of duty of a Soul Reaper, death is the final outcome. She would have been better off dying than giving you her power. Now, what's happened can't be undone. It can't be forgiven. We can't turn a blind eye to this, even if we wanted to. Rukia's coming back with me one way or another. Yeah? Well, we'll just see about that, now won't we? If you think you can get through the both of us. You youngsters, always talking disrespectfully to your elders. Were you not raised right? The second that sentence uttered from his lips, he was connected with another series of punches and strikes from Ichigo and from Clark. And didn't anyone ever teach you not to go bad-mouthing someone's parents? Especially today, Clark would say. You picked a really bad day for that. The battle between the Soul Reaper and between Ichigo and Clark would be a stalemate to say the least. The Soul Reaper was surprised to see just how skilled Clark was for a Kryptonian, not using any form of spiritual energy. Just his pure natural strength was capable of matching blows with him, and he was just barely able to keep up with his speed. As for Ichigo, he carried a rather large sword to say the least. Was this some incomplete form of Bankai? No, he was a novice. There was no way he could have achieved something like that. But still, how much power could he have possessed to produce such a blade so big? Maybe he was overcompensating. All the same, the boy didn't have much in terms of sword technique. He was just hacking and slashing around, like he was trying to see what would stick. All the same, because of the boy's massive inexperience, and because of the experience edge that he had, he was able to make up for it even while fighting 2-on-1. However, the fight would be halted as screams could be heard in the distance. It was the sound of Ichigo and Clark's sisters, Karin and Yuzu, as they were being attacked by an unknown Hollow. With the arrival of the Hollow, it would force the three to stop their battle, knowing that this would take higher precedence. When they went to confront the Hollow, both Clark and Ichigo would be shocked, because the one in question, of all days and of all times, it was the Hollow, the one from way back then, the one that had killed their mother. The Hollow referred to itself as Grand Fisher, surprised to see that the two boys had grown up and that they had returned. You see, this Hollow in particular was an advanced Hollow, one with consciousness and thought, one that was able to plan out its movements and didn't fight aimlessly without a mind of its own. No, Grand Fisher had been searching for those with great spiritual energy and potential. These two boys in particular were on his radar. But to think that they'd be foolish enough to come to him. So, you two boys have decided to come back after all these years. I remember you, the boy that almost drowned in the water. And you, the crybaby that didn't do anything. If I recall, you peed your pants. What a sight for your mother to see in her last moments. The Hollow would continue to mock the two boys, using its power of mimicry to mimic both the look and the voice of their fallen mother, believing that he could stir their emotions and get them to fall off guard, not allowing them to think straight. However, if that's what he thought, then he was sorely mistaken, because what he had done had only managed to piss them off, pissing them off greater than he could possibly imagine. It got to the point where the Hollow himself had to call on backup, the extra Hollows that he had summoned along the way, all of them swarming to try to attack the two boys and create an opening for him to escape. However, with assistance from the other Soul Reaper, they would not afford their master the opportunity. Ichigo and Clark would get their hands on Grand Fisher, and the only thing that mattered to them was complete and utter destruction. The advanced Hollow tried his best to fight them both off. However, he was unable to do so. Years of anger and frustration, all that had built and welled up in that moment. For Ichigo, he poured all of his heart and soul into each attack, with each swing of the blade. And for Clark, you could say that part of him had become unhinged. That part of him that always held back. That part of him that always fought to restrain himself for fear of what he might do. That part of him had been let go. And now another side had been revealed. The side of him that was capable of fighting with the strength of over 1,000 men. The strength that allowed him to jump tall buildings in a single bound, moving faster than even your most powerful locomotive. No, the Hollow found himself on the receiving ends of heavy, crushing blows, powerful strikes, slings of the sword, and eviscerating heat ray visions. As he lied, crawling away, trying to escape, Ichigo and Clark would finally pin him down and would deliver the death blow. It was cathartic. It was vindicating. And yet a rain would wash over them afterwards. As if, even though a weight had been lifted off of their shoulders, a burst of emotion also flowed from them. The two boys stood together side by side. But it was then that they felt something on their shoulders. As they turned, they saw the vestige of their mother, pulling them both into a hug. The two boys, both stoic and both often seen to be the calmer ones, they almost broke down as if they were little children being held in the embrace of their mother to be comforted. the tears welling and streaming from both of their eyes. My dear sons, it's all right. Everything will be okay. I am proud of you both, and I love you both very much. Please continue to look after your family. And know that I will always be with you, my precious sons. Their tears fell uncontrollably, as now the vestige of their mother would fade away. Even in the midst of the sadness, their hope and strength had been reinvigorated, as if a piece of them had finally received closure that had long since eluded them. The Soul Reaper that they battled was impressed by their power, and, for respect of the moment, he decided he wouldn't look into it any further. Well, I guess I wasn't able to find Rukia around here then. What? I wasn't able to find her. That's what I'm gonna have to report. She was nowhere in this area. False lead. However, I do need to leave you with a warning. You would be wise to keep a low profile, Rukia. You know what's going to come next, since I failed. Yes, I'm aware. As long as you are. Hopefully you might be able to avoid them for a while. Although for how long, even I'm not entirely sure. Take care of yourself. With that, the Soul Reaper would disappear. Ichigo and Clark would check on Karin and Yuzu, making sure that they were alright. Kon would return back to his teddy bear form, and Ichigo would go back into his body. However, for Rukia, she did have a look of concern. Clark would ask her what was wrong and if she was alright, and asking what that Soul Reaper was here about in the first place. Well, I've already broken so many rules. What's a few more? What do you mean? Ichigo would ask. Well, technically speaking, I wasn't supposed to give you my power, or at least not as much as I did. It was only supposed to be temporary, but you ended up taking more of it by chance. And well, that's something that isn't allowed to happen. Yeah, but still you were doing the right thing. Maybe. But when it comes to law and to tradition, well, it takes a lot more. A lot more, well, ethics and bureaucracy. You can't just go around and do what you want, no matter how powerful you might be. Well, screw that, Ichigo would say. You save people's lives, even at the cost of your own. If they aren't able to see that, then they're the fools. Yeah, Clark would say. We're not going to let anything happen to you, Rukia. We promise. You guys, we're serious, Ichigo would say. We owe you. It's not just that. You're a good person, Rukia. You don't deserve to be punished for doing the right thing. If they got a problem with that, then they can step up to the both of us. We'll take on the whole damn Soul Society if we have to. Trust me, you don't want to do that. But still, thank you, the both of you. I know that today, your mother would be proud. This concludes Bleach Legacy. What if Superman was in Bleach? Season 1, Part 4. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is Power Core Productions and Podcastings that's to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue. Konosuba, the explosive sage of the wonderful world. What if Jiraiya was in Konosuba? Part 4. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with Power Core Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.